She was the one who chased me first. I rejected her. She insisted. She said I'd fall for her one day. And I did. Harder than she ever fell for me. I caught her texting other guys. She said they were just friends. I caught her cheating. She said it didn't mean anything. And the worst part? I forgave her. Every time, I lost my friends, distance from my family, broke things in my house, cried in silence, because I thought I couldn't live without her. Until one night, I sat alone in the dark with a coin in my hand. Heads, I leave her forever. Tails, I forgive her again. I flipped it, and that coin didn't just decide my relationship. It ended my addiction. Let me tell you how the girl I couldn't survive without became someone who meant nothing to me. I didn't fall in love with her. She hunted me. That's the only word that makes sense now. Hunted. When she first told me she liked me, I laughed it off. Not because she wasn't attractive. She was confident, sharp, intense. But something about her energy felt overwhelming, like standing too close to a fire. Warm, but dangerous. She didn't take no for an answer. Not in a dramatic way. Not aggressively, but persistently. Texting every morning. Calling randomly just to hear your voice. Showing up near places I used to hang out. She learned my schedule faster than I realized. And slowly, she made herself part of my routine. I rejected her twice. Maybe 3 times. I told her I wasn't ready. Told her I didn't see her that way. She smiled and said, "You will." Not joking. Not hopeful. Certain. That confidence should have scared me. Instead, it intrigued me. She knew how to make a man feel chosen. That's a dangerous gift. She looked at me like I was rare. Like I was different. Like she saw something in me no one else had. And when someone looks at you like that long enough, you start believing it. The shift happened quietly. One night we were talking on the phone for hours. Laughing. Sharing stories. I remember looking at the clock. 3:17 a.m. I had work the next morning. I didn't care. That's when I realized something had changed. I wasn't tolerating her presence anymore. I was waiting for it. She started calling me mine. Playfully at first. Then seriously. And instead of pushing back, I leaned in. Because here's the truth no one talks about. Being wanted that intensely feels intoxicating. It feels powerful. It feels validating. It feels like you matter. And slowly, I fell harder than she ever did. She used to chase me. Now I was checking my phone every 5 minutes, waiting for her text, replaying our conversations, analyzing her tone. She noticed a shift too. Of course she did. She was always 2 steps ahead emotionally. The first time she pulled back slightly, it hit me like withdrawal, a delayed reply, a shorter message, a busy excuse. Nothing dramatic, but enough to create tension. And that tension made me chase. That's when the balance flipped. Without me realizing it, she stopped proving herself. I started proving mine. She stopped asking. I started offering. Time, attention, validation, reassurance. I told myself it was love. It wasn't. It was attachment forming too fast, too intensely, to someone who liked control. She had this way of looking at me when I got emotional. Not mocking, not affectionate, just observing, like she was studying how deep the hook had gone. And I mistook that gaze for connection. The day I officially said yes to her, she didn't celebrate. She smiled like someone who just won a bet. Subtle, satisfied. I didn't see it then, but I see it now. She didn't fall in love with me. She conquered me. And here's the thing about conquest. Once the chase ends, interest fades. But I didn't know that yet. I was just beginning to drown. And the worst part? I was happy. Or at least, I thought I was. The first red flag didn't look like betrayal. It looked like confidence. We were sitting at a cafe when her phone lit up. A guy's name. Heart emoji next to it. She flipped the phone over immediately. Too quickly. Like muscle memory. I smiled. Who's that? She didn't blink. Just a friend. She said it so casually that for a second, I felt stupid for asking. Just a friend. That phrase became a pattern. At first, I didn't question it. She had male friends before me. That's normal. I didn't want to be insecure. I didn't want to be that guy. So I told myself, trust her. Don't overthink. Don't ruin something good. But then the friends multiplied. Different names. Late night texts. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. When I'd sit next to her, she'd angle her phone slightly away. Not hiding it completely. Just enough. Subtle. Calculated. One night I asked again, "Why do these guys text you at 1 a.m.?" She exhaled sharply. "Because they're my friends. Not everything is about you." That sentence hit harder than it should have. Not everything is about you. I wasn't trying to make it about me. I was trying to understand my place. After that, I stopped asking directly. But my mind didn't stop. That's the thing about doubt. Once it enters, it doesn't leave quietly. It builds rooms inside your head, and you start living there. I began noticing patterns. She'd be hyper-affectionate one day, cold the next. If I gave attention, she pulled away. If I pulled away, she chased again, the same way she did in the beginning. Push, pull, push, pull. And every time she pulled away, I panicked. One evening, she didn't answer for 5 hours. No explanation, no warning. I called twice. No response. When she finally replied, it was simple. Was busy. Busy doing what? With who? My brain started creating images, scenarios, conversations I wasn't part of. And when you start imagining things, you lose sleep. I remember staring at my ceiling that night, phone in my hand, refreshing her last seen status like a maniac. And that's when I realized something ugly. I was waiting for her like she was oxygen. That's not love. That's dependency forming. The second real crack came by accident. She left her phone on the couch while she was in the bathroom. I wasn't snooping, but the screen lit up. "Miss you already." My stomach dropped. When she came back, I asked calmly, "Who's that?" Her expression didn't change. "He's just dramatic." Dramatic. Like it was a personality trait, not a boundary violation. I pushed harder that time. "Why does he miss you?" She rolled her eyes. "Because we hung out earlier." "You're acting crazy." Crazy. That word did something to me. Because suddenly I wasn't a concerned boyfriend. I was unstable. I was insecure. I was overreacting. And instead of staying firm, I backed down. That's how the erosion began. Every time I raised a concern, she flipped it. Every time I caught something, she minimized it. And every time I forgave her, she tested further. The first confirmed betrayal didn't even come from her. It came from someone else. A mutual acquaintance sent me a screenshot. Her, at a party, wrapped around another guy. Not friendly, not casual, intimate. I felt my chest physically tighten. When I confronted her, she didn't deny it. She just said, "It didn't mean anything." That sentence destroyed something inside me. Because if that didn't mean anything, what did I mean? I should have left then. But I didn't. Instead, I broke. I yelled. I cried. I punched a cabinet so hard my knuckles bled. And she watched me. Not scared. Not apologetic enough. Just calm. Then she cried. And when she cried, I folded. Every time. "I don't want to lose you," she said. And I believed her, even when her actions said otherwise. Because losing her felt like falling into a void. An emptiness I didn't know how to survive. That's when I started losing people. Friends stopped inviting me out. Because I always brought her. Or I declined if she wasn't coming. My family warned me. "She's not good for you. She doesn't respect you." I cut them off slowly. Defended her aggressively. Because admitting they were right will mean admitting I was weak. The truth? I wasn't scared of her cheating. I was scared of being alone. And she knew it. She could feel in the way I forgave too fast. In the way I apologized during arguments I didn't start. In the way I begged after fights. She knew I wouldn't leave. And once someone knows that, they stop trying. Still, I'd repeat that line sometimes. Half as a threat, half as a reminder to myself. One day, when I start living without you, your worth will be zero. She'd laugh every time. "You can't live without me." She wasn't wrong. Not yet. But addiction has a breaking point. It doesn't explode suddenly. It drains you first. Slowly. Quietly. Until one day, you don't recognize the man in the mirror. And I was getting close to that day. Very close. The scary part about losing yourself is that you don't notice it while it's happening. It feels like love. It feels like loyalty. It feels like fighting for something meaningful. Until one day, you look around and realize you're alone. I stopped seeing my friends. Not suddenly. Gradually. First, I skipped one gathering because she didn't feel comfortable. Then another because she didn't like their energy. Then another because she didn't want to come. And if she didn't come, I didn't go. My world started shrinking. But I didn't see it as isolation. I saw it as commitment. My family tried too. My sister once told me straight to my face, "She doesn't respect you." I got angry. Not my girlfriend. And my sister. I defended her like she was under attack. And when my family kept warning me, I distanced myself because it's easier to cut off voices of reason than to confront painful truth. At home, things got worse. She didn't even hide conversations anymore. She'd text other guys in front of me, laugh at their messages. If I reacted, she'd say, "You're so insecure." That word became my cage. Insecure. I started believing it. Maybe I was too sensitive. Maybe I was too intense. Maybe I was a problem. There were nights I cried alone in the bathroom, quietly, so she wouldn't hear. Not because she scared me, but because I didn't want to look weak. And yet, everything about me felt weak. One night I snapped. I found messages again. Worse this time. Clear. Undeniable. She didn't deny it. She just shrugged. It just happened. Just happened. Like rain. Like gravity. Like it was inevitable. I punched the wall so hard it left a crack. She didn't flinch. She just looked at me like I was dramatic. And somehow, I apologized. That's when I knew something was wrong. Deeply wrong. Because I was apologizing for reacting to betrayal. I was begging someone not to hurt me again. Instead of walking away, my sleep disappeared. I'd wake up at 3 a.m., check if she was online. If she was active and not texting me, my chest would tighten. I'd create scenarios in my head. Images. Voices. Imaginary conversations between her and someone else. And I'd spiral. Over and over. I stopped caring about work. My performance dropped. My boss noticed. Friends stopped calling. Because I never answered. My life revolved around her moods. If she was happy, I breathed. If she was distant, I panicked. That's not love. That's emotional dependence. The cheating didn't stop. It escalated. Because once someone sees you won't leave, they test how far they can go. She started staying out late, coming back without explanation. If I asked questions, she'd say, "If you don't trust me, why are you here?" That sentence trapped me, because leaving meant proving her right, and staying meant proving her powerful. I remember one night vividly. We had fought for hours. She told me she needed space. I sat in the dark living room alone after she went to sleep. Broken glass on the floor from something I threw. My hands shaking. And I said that line again. Not to her. To myself. One day, when I start living without you, your worth will be zero. And I realized something horrifying. I didn't believe it anymore. I couldn't imagine life without her. Even if life with her was destroying me. That's when the addiction fully formed. I wasn't staying because she loved me. I was staying because I feared the emptiness without her. And fear is powerful. More powerful than dignity. More powerful than logic. More powerful than pride. The final breaking moment before everything changed was when she cheated again and didn't even try to hide it. I confronted her. She looked at me and said, "You'll forgive me." Not hopeful, not questioning, certain. That certainty killed something inside me. Because she wasn't asking anymore. She knew. I wasn't a boyfriend. I was a safety net. And that's when I understood the truth. I wasn't losing her. I'd already lost myself. That night, for the first time, I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't break anything. I just sat there, staring at the ceiling, feeling empty. And when you feel empty long enough, you either collapse or you wake up. And the waking up came from something stupid. Something small. A coin. The night the coin appeared, there was no fight, no screaming, no shattered glass, just silence. She had left earlier that evening, said she needed space. I didn't ask where she was going. That was new. A few months ago, I would have begged. Now I just nodded. And that scared me. Because I wasn't calm. I was empty. The apartment felt unfamiliar, like I was sitting inside someone else's life. Broken cabinet in the kitchen, cracked paint from where I punched the wall, her perfume still lingering in the air. Evidence of a war I kept losing. I sat on the floor, back against the couch, lights off, phone in my hand, no messages from her. And for the first time, I didn't check her status. I didn't open her profile. I didn't stalk anything. I just stared at the ceiling and asked myself one simple question. How'd I let it get this bad? I had lost friends, distance from family, damaged my career focus, destroyed parts of my home. For what? For someone who was certain I wouldn't leave. That word echoed in my head. Certain. She was certain I'd forgive her. Certain I'd stay. Certain I needed her more than she needed me. That's when I remembered something I used to say, over and over, almost like a prophecy. One day, when I start living without you, your worth will be zero to me. I had said it during fights, during tears, during moments of fake confidence. But I never meant it, because I couldn't imagine surviving without her. And then I noticed something small, a coin on the table, leftover change from earlier that day. I picked it up without thinking, turned it between my fingers. Cold, light, simple, unlike everything in my life. I don't believe in fate, but I didn't trust myself anymore. Every time I made a decision with emotion, I lost. Every time I forgave, I lost. Every time I begged, I lost. So I thought, if I can't decide what's best for me, maybe something else can. Not destiny, not magic, just a moment of surrender. Heads. I leave her, block her, delete everything, disappear. Tails. I forgive her, again, and accept that this is my life. That was it. Two options. No gray area. No negotiation. No, let's talk. Just clarity. My hand was shaking, not because of fear, because I knew something was about to end, either my dignity or my addiction. I stood up, walked to the middle of the room, closed my eyes for a second, and whispered quietly, let this decide what I can't. Then I flipped it. The coin spun in the air. For a split second, time slowed. That tiny piece of metal rotating under the ceiling light felt louder than any argument we ever had. It hit the floor, rolled once, twice, then stopped. Heads. No lightning struck. No dramatic music played. No sudden relief. Just stillness. And something inside me. Detached. Not anger. Not power. Detachment. Like a switch flipped quietly in my chest. I picked up my phone, opened our chat, scrolled through years of messages. Promises. Fights. Apologies. I love you. I can't lose you. I'll change. I didn't reread them. I didn't cry. I deleted everything. Photos, videos, voice notes, memories. Gone. Then I blocked her. Everywhere. Instagram, WhatsApp, calls. Everything. No dramatic message. No explanation. Just one line. You remember what I told you? The day I start living without you, your worth will be zero to me. That day has arrived. Send. Block. Silence. I expected panic. I expected regret. I expected heartbreak. Instead, I felt light. Not healed. Not happy. But lighter. Like chains had been cut. For the first time in months, I slept. Not perfectly, but without checking my phone at 3 a.m. Without refreshing her last scene. Without imagining conversations I wasn't part of. And the strangest part? The next morning, I didn't want to unblock her. I didn't want to check. I didn't want closure. Because closure had already happened. When the coin landed, she tried calling. From unknown numbers. Through friends. Through emails. But something had changed. Not my anger. My attachment. It was gone. Not instantly, but decisively. Because sometimes, it's not logic that saves you. It's a line you refuse to cross again. And from that night forward, I wasn't hers anymore. The first call came 30 minutes after I blocked her. Unknown number. I stared at it. Didn't move. Let ring. Then it stopped. 2 minutes later, it rang again. Different number. Same result. Silence from me. Then the messages started. Emails. Fake accounts. Mutual friends reaching out. Are you okay? She's freaking out. What happened? What happened? Nothing dramatic. That was the point. There was no explosion this time. No argument. No breakdown. No begging. Just absence. And absence is terrifying when you're used to someone chasing you. She showed up at my apartment 2 days later, knocking hard, calling my name through the door. I didn't answer. I stood inside, listening, heart steady. That surprised me, because months ago I would have run to the door, pulled her inside, apologized for overreacting. Now, I just waited for the knocking to stop, and eventually, it did. The texts grew desperate. I'm sorry. I made mistakes. I didn't think you'd actually leave. Please talk to me. That one hit differently. I didn't think you'd actually leave. She was certain, remember? Certain I'd stay. Certain I'd forgive. Certain I needed her. The coin didn't just end a relationship. It destroyed her certainty. But here's the part that shocked me the most. I didn't feel powerful. I didn't feel victorious. I felt calm, like a noise had finally been turned off. No constant checking. No racing thoughts. No emotional spikes. Just quiet. And in that quiet, I started noticing damage. The broken cabinet. The cracks in the wall. The dust on things I hadn't cleaned in weeks. My life had been paused. Now it was sitting in front of me, waiting. A week later, she came again. This time crying. Not loud. Not manipulative. Just broken. You can't just disappear like that. But I had. And that's what hurt her. Not losing me. Losing control over me. She tried the old tactics. Memories. Inside jokes. Reminders of what we had. But something in me had rewired. When she cried, I didn't feel responsible. When she apologized, I didn't feel hopeful. When she touched my arm, I didn't melt. There was nothing left to grip. And that's terrifying for someone who built power on your attachment. Friends told me she was spiraling, posting sad quotes, indirect messages, blaming herself publicly, blaming me privately. But I didn't check, didn't stalk, didn't ask, because indifference isn't loud. It's consistent. The real shift happened 2 weeks later. She sent one final message through a friend. He doesn't even care anymore. That's when I understood the irony. For months, I feared losing her. Now she feared being irrelevant. And there is nothing more painful to someone who thrived on attention than becoming unnecessary. I didn't respond, not because I was strong, but because I was done. And being done is different from being angry. Anger wants reaction. Done wants peace. And slowly, her attempt stopped. The unknown calls faded. The surprise visits ended. The desperation cooled. Because when someone realizes you won't engage, they eventually move on. Or at least pretend to. I packed some boxes. Moved apartments. Not to hide. To reset. New space. No memories in the walls. No broken cabinets. No emotional stains. Just blank rooms. And for the first time in a long time, I felt something unfamiliar. Not love. Not pain. Freedom. But the real closure didn't come from her panic. It came from what I did next. Because leaving isn't enough. You have to rebuild. And that part? That's where I finally became someone I recognized again. The first week after moving apartments felt strange. No chaos. No late-night fights. No checking my phone at 2 a.m. Just quiet. Real quiet. And when your life has been loud for that long, silence feels unnatural. But I stayed in it. I didn't talk about her. Not to my friends. Not to my family. When I finally called my parents again, they didn't ask. They just said, "It's good to hear your voice." And for the first time in months, I felt something solid. Not validation. Not drama. Just grounding. I started rebuilding small things first. Clean the new place. Repair my knuckles. Fix my sleep. Started going back to the gym. At first, not for strength. For structure. Structure gives your brain something stable when emotions don't. I reconnected with friends I had ignored. No long apologies. Just honest ones. I messed up. Most of them didn't even blame me. They just said they were glad I was back. That hurt in a different way. Because it reminded me I was the one who walked away from support. Not them. Work improved. Focus returned. I stopped thinking about what she was doing. Not because I was disciplined, Because I genuinely didn't care. And that realization scared me. Because the girl I once thought I couldn't survive without wasn't even crossing my mind anymore. About a month later, I ran into her by accident. A coffee shop, middle of the afternoon. She froze when she saw me, like she had seen a ghost. I didn't feel anything dramatic. No spike in heart rate. No panic. No urge to hug her. Just recognition, like seeing someone from a different life. She tried to talk, asked how I was, said she missed me. Her voice was softer than I remembered, less confident, less certain. That certainty was gone, and in its place was insecurity, the same thing she once accused me of. Then she asked the question, "Do you ever think about us?" I paused, not to hurt her, not to calculate, just to answer honestly. No, not cruel, not angry, just true. And I saw it in her face. That was the moment it clicked for her. The line I used to repeat, the one she laughed at. One day when I start living without you, your worth will be zero. That day had arrived, not because I hated her, but because I didn't need her. And that's the difference people don't understand. Love doesn't die in a fight. It dies in detachment. It dies when someone stops needing the other to survive. She wasn't my oxygen anymore. She was just a memory. She tried once more. I changed. Maybe she had. Maybe she hadn't. But here's the truth. Sometimes someone changes too late, because the version of you that loved them is gone. I walked away from that coffee shop without looking back. Not dramatically, not symbolically, just normally, like leaving any other place. And that normality, that was the real victory. Months later, I realized something even deeper. The coin didn't save me. The coin forced me to face what I already knew. I didn't leave because of fate. I left because I was tired of being weak. And sometimes, you need a small ritual to mark the end of an addiction. For me, it was a coin. For someone else, it might be a door slam or a final message. But the power wasn't in the object. It was in the decision. I didn't become stronger overnight. I didn't suddenly become fearless. But I stopped being controlled. And that's enough. People think the hardest part is leaving. It's not. The hardest part is accepting that you allowed it to happen. But once you own that, no one can control you the same way again. She once said I couldn't live without her. She was wrong. I just hadn't learned how yet. And the day I stopped needing her, she didn't lose me. She lost power. And that's something she never saw coming.